What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we're back with normal content. The video the other day got some interesting reception, so yeah, we're back to just normal content. We're back to being boring, and this video is probably going to get no views because of it. But we're going through the the UFC fight night this weekend, Blamchfield versus Fiorot. I put a poll up on my channel asking if you guys wanted a prediction video. Like 70% said yes. That kind of just says the state of these cards, because half you guys are just like, nah, don't even bother. Don't even make a prediction video. But I'm going to do it just for the fun of it. So yeah, let's get into it. Loughran versus Angel Pacheco. I'm going to be picking Loughran by decision. I think he's actually not too bad. I think he's a great fighter. I'd love to fight him. Loughran's actually pretty good. He's a little fucking midget of a man. He's a little fucking midget of a thing, yeah? An Irish little fool. A fucking meatball, yeah? This guy, yeah, he's Irish. He's a fucking ball. He's like 5'4". We literally have Lucas Tracy as a redhead in the UFC fighting this weekend, so good luck to Lucas Tracy, but I think he will get the win, because Angel Pacheco, I mean, he had a good scrap with Danny Silva on the Contender Series, but apart from that, I don't know, he's probably just fought a bunch of cans. I haven't looked into his record. Loughran coming off a loss at UFC Paris against Taylor Lapulus, but Lapulus is actually pretty solid, and, you know, you're fighting in Paris, you're getting booed, it's a rough one, but here I think he will get the win. I think this matchup favours him. I reckon he can get takedowns, and he is a little bit of he's a powerful guy too. He's got those really compact, short, little midget arms, and he can generate some power, so I could see him finding a finish, but Pacheco showed a lot of toughness and didn't get finished on the Contender Series, and he got punched in the face a whole bunch. So I'm going to back Loughran to take the win on the cards, 30-27, unanimous decision. Probably drops Pacheco a couple times, but he survives, and yeah, he gets the win to open up the card. I reckon it'll be a fun fight. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Andre Petroski versus Jacob Malkoun. I'm going to be taking Jacob Malkoun to win by decision. I think he's actually a pretty good fighter, and in hindsight, some of his fights actually are turning out pretty well. That Brendan Allen fight, which he arguably won, I do think he's a really good look here. Petroski, he was considered somewhat of a prospect or an upcoming guy at one point, but then, he beat GM3, but he didn't look good. He kind of almost lost that fight, and then he got smoked by Michel Pereira in basically a minute. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be able to push his wrestling on Malkoun, who's got great wrestling. And I think even on the feet, I haven't been impressed by Petroski. So I do think Malkoun's going to keep it on the feet, keep it in the stand-up. Or if he takes him down, I think he can have success there too. Because even GM3 got on top and had grappling success a lot of times in their fight. So Malkoun's going to get it done across the distance, do better on the feet, do better on the ground, and take home a decision win. Let's move on up the card. Victoria Dudukova versus Melissa Gatto. I'm going to be taking Dudukova as an underdog. And look, I don't think she's all that good at fighting. And Gatto's not all that good either, but I do think Gatto probably, just based off watching their fights, is the better fighter. But Dudukova's young. She's younger than Gatto. I do think her last performance was not super indicative of where she's at. Look, am I going to say she's a top prospect? No. But she missed weight in her last fight, I think, so she's coming up. Maybe she's going to be a little bit stronger, a little bit less weight drained. Last time she had a staph infection as well, is something that she revealed. So I think she'll be decent enough. I think she can do well in the stand-up and just have a little bit of a level-up performance from where we saw her last time, because she didn't look the best. But the thing is, with women's MMA, I've learnt with predictions, you can't just be like, oh, this person, their level of opposition is worse than this person's level of opposition. It doesn't matter. They're all unranked women's fighters. They're all shit. I just am going to back, if the judges are going to be looking at scoring this fight, maybe they get swayed by the attractiveness of the Dudukova side, so they might give it to her because she's an undefeated, prospect, but undefeated fighter, more attractive. Maybe the judges go, let's just give her this win, even if it's a little bit robbery So I reckon she'll get a split decision, and it'll be a controversial fight, but no one will care because it's irrelevant. Let's move on, though, up the card. We've got Aslan versus Anton Turkalj, the pleasure man. I'm going to be taking Aslan, whatever his name is. He's going to get the win by KO in the first round, I believe. Look, am I going to act like I've watched this guy fight ever? No, I haven't. I've never seen a single one of this guy's fights, but I looked on their records, and he did lose to Anton Turkalj. So you might be like, why would you pick him? And the reason is because Anton Turkalj is terrible. So even if he already beat him, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. If you're fighting Anton Turkalj and I look at your record and all 12 of your wins have come by knockout and Anton Turkalj is just known for getting chinned, I'm just going to pick you to win. So I do think apparently Islam was having a lot of success in their first fight. He just got subbed. It is what it is. But I do think Anton Turkalj is shit. And Islam looked good on his contender series from what I saw highlights-wise. And he's just a finisher. He's got power, and Anton Turkalj does terrible against people with power. So I think he's going to lose this fight by KO in the first. Let's move on to the next fight. Denis Buzukja versus Conor Matthews. I'm going to be taking Conor Matthews by decision again. Am I going to act like I've watched him fight? No. I literally just this morning before I started recording this video, I just watched his contender series fight against when he lost to Francis Marshall, who's actually not a bad fighter. Francis Marshall, I mean, he lost to Isaac Dolgarian, but Dolgarian's actually a good fighter. So Francis Marshall's actually not a bad fighter, and he was actually a prospect in his own right. And he beat Conor Matthews, but Matthews had some moments in that fight. He chucks hands, and ultimately, Denis Buzukja, I've seen him fight twice, and both of them, it's unfortunate for him. Like, he fought on short notice, he cut a bunch of weight, probably wasn't at his best. He fought Sean Woodson and he just got boxed up, and then he fought Jamal Emmers in his next fight, who's also a really long-rangey guy, and he got KO'd inside a minute. So, those two are long-rangey guys, so maybe there is an element of now he's not fighting that guy with the awkward reach, with that snappy punches, but I reckon Matthews is just a little bit more scrappy, a little bit better in the pocket, a little bit more power. And ultimately, Denis Buzukja, unless you're Marab or fucking Aljamain Sterling, it seems like pretty much everyone else that out of that gym, all these like unranked guys making their debut, like Charalampos Gregorio made his debut the other week and I picked him to win and he lost. And I heard Ray Longo on the Anakin Florian podcast talking about him, saying, we got this guy Charalampos, he's really good, he's making his debut, and I'm like, alright, I'll pick him, I'll take your word for it. And he lost. So I'm just not going to trust these fucking, even though Buzukja's already fought, even if they go, oh yeah, this guy looks great in the gym, you know, he's a great fighter. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he probably gives some tough rounds to the guys in the gym. But ultimately, when you're stepping in the octagon, I just haven't seen the results to be picking you. So he's looked pretty shit in two of his fights. Maybe he steps up and knows that he needs to get a win here and he gets a win. I'm not sure. It's a close fight. He is actually a slight favourite, but I'm going to take Matthews. Until Buzukja actually looks good in a fight, I'm not picking him to win. So yeah, Matthews for the decision win. Let's move on to the next fight. Herbert Burns versus Julio Arce. I'm going to take Julio Arce to win by TKO in the second. And again, until I see Herbert Burns like actually not just quit and gas out after one round, I'm just not going to pick him. So if he shows out here and he pushes the pace and he doesn't just die and quit after 5 minutes, then I'll actually pick him because he's actually got some danger and he actually has good finishing potential. Like he flatlines Nate Landwehr, and that's going to lead into my next prediction in a second. But yeah, I think Herbert Burns, he's actually not an awful fighter. He just has no gas tank, and I'm going to need you to have a gas tank. Julio Arce is pretty solid. He's fought some good opposition. He has lost to some good opposition. So yeah, I'm not going to take too much away from it. But ultimately, I don't care about who you fought. All I care about is that I saw Herbert Burns in his last fight literally lose by TKO because he failed to stand up from the ground because he was too gassed and he ended up looking like Justin Tafa, like an obese man trying to get up as a featherweight. So that's rough for Herbert Burns. I'm not picking him to win. Or as a bantamweight, whatever the fuck he is, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not picking him to win this fight. I'm going to take Julio Arce to win by TKO in the second. Let's move on to the next fight. Werner Jardiroba versus Luque Godinez. I'm taking Luque Godinez to win by decision. I think she's just a little bit better everywhere, to be honest. I think Jardiroba does have a great offensive grappling game. But Luque Godinez has good wrestling herself. She showed against Tabitha Ricci. She is a very good wrestler. She can stuff takedowns too. And unless she just gets taken down and held there by Jardiroba for the whole fight, I don't think she's going to lose this fight by submission, and I don't think she's going to lose on the feet. So if it stays on the feet, I think she wins. And if she works her own grappling and ends up on top, I think she can win that way too. So ultimately, I see the more paths to victory for her to win. I don't think Jardiroba is going to be able to implement just that fucking shoot and just hold people down the whole time. She beat Marina Rodriguez, but Rodriguez is, you know, a bit of a frail, skinnier person, doesn't have the same like base in the legs as Luque Godinez. So I think Godinez stuffs the takedowns, keeps it on the feet, and just does your typical women's MMA low level striking and gets a decision win. Let's move on though to the next fight. Nate Landwehr versus Jamal Emmers. Now, as I said before, Herbert Burns KO'd Nate Landwehr in the first round with a knee. Nate Landwehr was also KO'd in under a minute by Julian Erosa with a flying knee. I think he's going to lose this fight by first round KO, is my official prediction, or TKO, whatever, but what's his name? Jamal Emmers is going to get this one done. He is the naturally and technically better fighter. Nate Landwehr just doesn't look all that good when he strikes. He just looks a bit weird and mid. And even though, like, he did go distance with Ige, at the end of the first and second round, he got dropped on his ass badly. And look, he can start to push, he can start to, you know, impose his will and implement his game plan as the fight goes longer and the opponent gets a bit tired. But that's against guys like David Onama, who's a spastic, and who literally KO'd him. Like, I swear to God, he flatline KO'd. Like, he literally put Landwehr out, like he was out cold, and then Onama, like, failed the fucking ground and pound strike, and yeah, he died. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about here. What's his name? Jamal Emmers is going to win. He's got the longer, he's got the rangier striking, and I think he's going to smoke him on the feet. 1-2s down the middle, knees up the middle, all that, and he's going to get it done by finish. Let's move on to the next fight. Chidi Njokuani versus Rhys McKee. I'm going to be taking Chidi Njokuani by round 1 KO, because Rhys McKee is just pretty shit, innit? Like, I don't know. It's not much to talk about. Rhys McKee fucking sucks. He hasn't won a fight in the UFC. He got raped by Hamzat, and then he came back and, like, he fought someone else, and then he lost, and he came back, and he lost. Like, bro, he lost to fucking Ange Lusa, the guy that quit against Brian Battle. Like, I don't know. Rhys McKee's kind of shit. I don't love Chidi Njokuani moving down just because, you know, middleweights aren't very good. So maybe even though Rhys McKee is quite literally the worst welterweight on the roster, maybe that is that equates to at least being better than a top 50 middleweight, I guess. And also Chidi's a pretty big dude, so I don't know how well he's going to do cutting down. But we'll see what happens. But I do think if he's healthy, if he doesn't kill himself on the scale, he should get the win by KO in the first. But let's move on to the next fight. Bill Algeo versus Kyle Nelson. I'm going to be taking Bill Algeo because I just think he is a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit better, and a bit of just a cleaner fighter. To be honest with you, I don't even agree. But I'm going to be taking Bill Algeo. Look, in his last fight, I think, who did he fight? I think it was Alexander Hernandez, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, and he won that and he looked pretty clean. So he's a longer rangy guy. He's got the reach advantage over Kyle Nelson. Nelson did beat Fernando Padilla, which is a good win, but apart from that, like, Blake Builder's not all that good. I think he beat him. I don't know. Kyle Nelson, he's just we've got Guram Kutateladze at home, and then he's Guram Kutateladze at home. Like, he's just a poor man's Canadian Guram. And Bill Algeo is actually pretty good. He's got some good wins on the resume. He beat Joe Anderson Brito, which is actually a really underrated win. And I think he will get it done across the distance. I don't see him finishing Nelson. Bill Algeo is not like a super one-punch KO guy or instant submission guy, but I do think he'll get it done against Kyle Nelson. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Sultan Ruziboev versus Cedric Dumas. I'm going to be taking Sultan Ruziboev because, again, Cedric Dumas is just a fucking tard and he sucks at fighting. Literally a felon. Like, he got arrested like a couple months ago or like a couple weeks ago for like domestic abuse charges. So we've basically got budget John Jones fighting this weekend. He learnt from John Jones. He learnt from the best. Honestly, you could never be that good at being a criminal and being a menace to society and being a terrible person without the teaching and the guidance of John Jones. So good job, Cedric Dumas. That's the one thing you have picked up from John Jones. Unfortunately, you haven't picked up his skill. Ruziboev's going to smoke him, I reckon. Unless KOing Bruno Ferreira in the first round just means nothing. And yeah, maybe Bruno Ferreira is just terrible and that's why he knocked out Gregory Rodriguez. Maybe Gregory Rodriguez is terrible. So yeah, if if Dumas wins this, MMA makes no sense. It's impossible to pick fights. If you pick Dumas, you're incorrect. Even if he wins, like, there is no logical reason to pick him. I'm bringing out the Lucas Tracy curse here. He needs to slip on a banana peel if Dumas is going to win this fight. So yeah, Ruziboev should win first round. I'll go submission. If he gets a knockout, I wouldn't be surprised. But Dumas got subbed by Josh Fremd, who's shit. So Ruziboev should smoke him. Let's move on, though, to the next fight. Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva. Yeah, I'm going to take the guy that isn't a fucking middle-aged man and has one working leg. That's who I'm going with here. You guys can look at the two people on screen and you can guess. You can play the guessing game, which one you think is the slightly physically incapable 40-year-old man and which one is the somewhat in prime, actually good fighter that isn't crippled. So yeah, I'm taking Bruno Silva by TKO. Look, could Chris Weidman wrestle and submit him? Maybe, but I'm just not going to trust him to be able to just easily get takedowns. I don't think he's going to have as much drive or strength in his legs, to be honest. And Bruno Silva's going to piece him up on the feet. I don't see Weidman having any success on the feet, unless maybe Bruno Silva just is shit all of a sudden and going to distance with Alex Pereira in a striking match means nothing. Maybe somehow Chris Weidman flukes it on the feet, but apart from that, I think the only chance he has to win is by taking Silva down. And Bruno Silva, he's lost before in the grappling for sure, but again, Chris Weidman in his prime 100% would win this fight, but Chris Weidman's a whole lot removed from his prime now. We're not looking at prime Chris Weidman, we're looking at washed Weidman, and yeah, I do think Silva's going to TKO him, chew up his legs, land to the face, land punches easily, and is going to TKO him. Kind of not even a big KO or anything. Weidman, he's just going to be landing, and then Weidman's just going to kind of quit and just crumble a little bit. And yeah, he's going to win this fight, Bruno Silva, by TKO. Let's move on to the co-main event. Vicente Luque versus Joaquim Buckley. I'm going to be taking Vicente Luque to win by TKO. I just don't think Buckley's all that good, man, to be honest. Again, middleweight coming down to welterweight. I know he has fought a couple times at welterweight and he has got some wins, but he beat Andre the Bum Fialho, who was quite literally the most short-lived and overrated hype train that I've ever seen. He got 2 wins in quick succession, and then people thought he was just the best striker at fucking 170 or something. They're like, damn bro, this guy's boxing is nasty. And then he just got tuned up by Jake Matthews. And then Jake Matthews got shown to be pretty mid as well, because he lost to Matthew Semmelsberger. And then Matthew Semmelsberger got shown to be mid as well, because he lost to Uros Medic and then Preston Parsons. So yeah, the train of just derailing hype trains, or the link of just derailed hype trains goes deep with this one. And yeah, Buckley, he KO'd Fialho with a head kick. If you don't KO Fialho, then you have no hope of being a good fighter, so I don't rate that win. And then he beat Alex Morono, who is quite literally the definition of a default settings NPC character. He's the base character that you select on fucking UFC 5 before you can make any customizations or upgrade your skills. That's what Alex Morono is. He's just mid. He's got a guillotine, I'm pretty sure, and that's it. Literally soft-bodied at welterweight. He's the new he's him and Brian Barberena. They're rocking the dad bod soft body physique at 170. If you're a fat heavyweight, I'll accept it. You're probably still shit, but I'll accept it. How the fuck are you a guy under 185 pounds or even under 200 pounds and you're fat or chubby at your weight class? So yeah, he beat Morono, who's not good. So yeah, good job. You haven't really beat anyone good. He's just got flashy KOs, and then everyone just thinks he's that guy. And I know, he got KO'd by Holland. I'm not saying Holland is bad, but he does have power for sure. But Holland's not a guy that just KOs people. People that lose to Holland by KO aren't good. I'll be honest. He washed Jacare with that fluky punch off his back. He's beat Buckley by KO. He beat Ponzinibbio by KO. He subbed Chiesa, who's old as fuck. I don't know. Holland, bro, he's just not all that good. He just got into the rankings because they found absolutely the worst ranked opponent that he could beat to get into the rankings, and that was Chiesa. And then apart from that, the ranked guys he's fought, he gets smoked by. Schooled by Wonderboy, smoked by Hamzat, lost clearly to Della, and then lost to MVP. Like, anyone who's actually solid, he just loses to. So I don't rate Holland that much, and he slept Buckley. So yeah, I'm taking Luque. Even though he has been finished a couple times, that's by like clean strikers. You're going to tell me that Buckley is on the same level as punching technique and skill and power as like a Jeff Neal. I'm just not buying it. Sorry. I'm not saying Luque's in his prime form. If this was like a Luque versus a Della Maddalena, I'm obviously picking Jack. If this is a Luque versus a Jeff Neal rematch, I'm picking Jeff Neal. Like, these top guys I wouldn't pick Luque against, but Buckley just ain't a top guy. And these odds are even money right now, so I like Luque. Maybe he just gets chinned immediately, but I don't know. I just don't think Buckley's power is actually that good, to be honest. Like, KO'd Fialio, he's got some spinning kick KOs and shit. Like, obviously, you're gonna KO people if you fucking hit them in the head with your leg. Like, that's just gonna happen. But punching power-wise, I don't know. He just doesn't really finish a whole lot of guys that are decent. So, I'm taking Luque. I reckon he can catch Buckley coming in, swinging some retarded shit, because, you know, Buckley just not the most intelligent individual. He might rock Luque at one point with, like, a big stiff jab, big arm punch, and then he'll go for him a bit, he'll open up, and then Luque is going to get the hands going. Maybe I could see Luque getting a submission if he gets it to the ground, wrap up a DAS or something like that, but I ultimately do believe that Luque is going to win by finish, and more likely a TKO around the second or third round. Let's move on, though, to the main event. Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. This is actually a pretty close fight, and I was thinking, I was like, damn, I'm going to probably, like, I was really confident on Aaron Blanchfield, and then I kind of started to think about it, and I was like, you know, I mean, she's beaten Tyler Santos, she beat Andrade, like, those are good wins, but I don't know if she's going to be able to just out-muscle and out-physicality Manon Fiorot. And yeah, apart from that, I am still going to pick Blanchfield, though, because I don't think Manon Fiorot is that good either. So it's like, you're thinking, oh, Blanchfield, I don't know how she's going to be able to do against this bigger opposition, against stronger person with good striking. But then you realize, like, yeah, Manon Fiorot is not that good either. Like, she edged out a decision over Rose Namajunas, who just doesn't look that good at this point in her career. She's beaten, like, I think Amanda Ribas or Tabitha Ricci or something like that. She beat Caitlin Chikagian. But I don't know. I just think neither of these two are, like, phenomenal, but if I'm going with someone who is just clearly better in one area, and I think, look, it's pretty clear, Blanchfield's the better wrestler, Fiorot's the better striker, but it's pretty clear to me that in terms of the skill discrepancy in those two areas, I think there's a bigger gap in the grappling than there is in the striking. I think Blanchfield can still have moments in the striking. She's probably just going to struggle with the reach and stuff. But in the grappling, even if she doesn't get takedowns instantly, over 5 rounds, I liked against how Tyler Santos, she lost the first, but then came back and won the next 2, and she wasn't even getting many takedowns. But I do believe Tyler Santos is a much better grappler than Manon Fiorot. So I do think she will get some takedowns here. She's rapidly improving. She's only 24, and I think if she gets her down and can really work on her a little bit, eventually that submission will present itself. So I'm going to back Aaron Blanchfield to maybe not have too much success in the early rounds, but then take over late, get her takedowns at will a lot more, and then eventually Fiorot is going to be like, fuck this, I can't be asked, and just give up a submission and get choked out or tap out in the 4th round to a rear naked choke. So yeah, that'll do it, guys. Those are the picks. You can see my picks recap on screen. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.